That's how I should start this video. You don't have to go all the way to Vegas to start a gambling addiction. Hey guys, this is Lana on Location episode 4. I'm Lana Harris, and this episode is focusing on Tennessee. So we are on a road trip across the country. We started off in Georgia. We went to South Carolina first, then we went to North Carolina, and now we are talking about Tennessee. Specifically, we went to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and it was beautiful. Like, it was way more beautiful than I think I imagined, especially because the East Coast does not have a great rep for outdoorsy things. You know, like all the mountains and all the best hiking and all the best picturesque scenes are said to be on the West Coast. But if you couldn't get all the way to the West Coast, you could go to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and feel pretty satisfied, I think. First and foremost, we saw elk. Where do you see elk? We were not expecting that at all. Actually, somebody we met along the way told us that they had just re-released elk back into that area. I don't know if that's true or not, but we saw them. We didn't even expect to see them as much as we did. Every time we would travel up and down the roads, and they were windy roads, it seems like we would run into them, and then we saw them at our campsite. It was crazy. They just walked up. Everybody, of course, kept their distance, so the videos that you're seeing is from way far back. But this was right by our campsite. It was crazy. And honestly, the wildlife out there was very unexpected. We saw butterflies that just magically hung around our tent space. Very Snow White. Very, very Snow White. In fact, it just seemed like they were paid actors. I didn't know what was happening because they weren't even scared. Like, when is the last time you approached a butterfly and it didn't immediately just fly away? No, these were sticking by. I walked right up on one. In fact, this is the moment that my boyfriend told me one had landed on me. Scared.
One on your shirt now. He likes your scent.
No, is there?
Yeah.
Is there? Was
there? Yeah, he left.
I really don't even know I was scared. I just, it was just, you know, I know I live basically in a tent and in campgrounds these days, but please. We ended up finding this really cool trail that was near the campsite. You walked kind of on this bridge down into the forest, and the forest just felt really magical. There were more butterflies. And then there was this sort of glen, this very magical feeling glen where there was just a nice running stream. It was super private. We could have coffee out there. It was surrounded in a tree canopy. So it was just beautiful. It was one of those picturesque scenes that you really only see on TV. So we'd go out there to have coffee. And then one of the days my boyfriend was like, oh, I have a great idea. Let's take a bath out here. It'll be great. I thought it was a joke because how could you actually get clean in a stream? And he was saying that he'd seen all these videos of all these people in all these extreme situations who have to bathe in the stream. And then we got this soap that's said to be fine for the environment. So, you know, he wanted to try it. Okay. Wait, give me the belt. Current. Oh, it's fine. I can't go lower.
Go under.
And that's what you get. Anyways, so there are a lot of cool things that you can see and do in that area as well. So we went to the Tennessee-North Carolina state line, and that was cool. It was beautiful. There were a lot of people out there because you can kind of come up some steps and see really far out into both Tennessee and North Carolina. And then there was this really awesome area. I don't even know what it's called. I'll have to write it because it was like walking back in time. They have this whole homestead that you can see how people lived way back when, you know, you had your own hogs, you had your own chickens, you had your own, you know, everything right there on your little farm. And it was cool seeing how they lived. They had, you know, little pianos in the front to be entertainment because there was no TV. They had a little staircase going upstairs, probably if they were, you know, well off. They were really small but humble beginnings, it seems like. And it was really cool seeing how people live so simply. But then they had everything they needed right there. And I bet their food was a lot healthier than what ours is today because, you know, that's another story. The chickens were just fearless. And it makes sense now that I think about it because, okay, a lot of people probably go through that area, but I've never been that close to a chicken. It was beautiful. It's really a beautiful bird. Their feathers were literally like glistening in the sunlight. Oh, and then we got to this part that was just casually for slaves. Yeah, I can read. Okay, hotel for people headed to market. Okay. Oh, and we didn't even realize this until the next day. The next town is like 10 minutes away from where we were camping. So if you really want to go out there and camp, but you're kind of nervous about not having any kind of resource, the next town is very close to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park campgrounds. In fact, I think it might be Cherokee. If you've never been to the town of Cherokee, it's awesome. It's on a Native American reservation, and you can tell, like, the signs are dual Cherokee and English, and just walking around, you can just feel their culture. It's really cool. I feel like you only see it on TV or in movies or kind of sparsely these days. And here, every gift shop, you could go and buy things like slingshots or moccasins or tribal blankets, really cool things like that. And then they have a casino. I think I knew there was a casino there, but it's like a real casino. I don't know what I thought. We were there in the middle of the week, so obviously it was basically deserted, but I just didn't think a real Vegas level casino was sitting right there in North Carolina. That's how I should start this video. You don't have to go all the way to Vegas to start a gambling addiction. Please don't watch this and start a gambling addiction. And then we ended everything going through Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And Gatlinburg was so fun to drive through. I mean, it is screaming tourist to the point where I was wondering, like, who lives here? If you live in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, I need to know what life is like for you, because I could only imagine what nonstop tourists would be like in the place that I actually live, because we couldn't even find parking. We circled around a couple of times and every parking lot said it was $20. We're going to be here for an hour. I'm not going to spend $20. Finally, we did find one that was $2 an hour, and that was great. We ate at this awesome place called Sun Diner, which I've actually done a video on if you go to my TikTok. But yeah, we just had a great time there. I just don't really know how you would do it as a local. I did start crying here on this trip, and that was because of the crows. I am not cursing on this. I told myself, but I effing hate crows now. We had just left the campsite for like no time, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. I don't know. When we got back, there were crows pecking at all of the stuff we left out. And we didn't just leave just like straight food out. Everything was packed away into its own container, because we made that mistake before. And we should have known when the squirrel ate through that same bin that we shouldn't have left it out again, but we did. I guess you have to learn a lesson twice to really learn it. But we got back and the crows were pecking at the sugar, pecking at the dry cream, pecking at just everything we had out. And I just got so overwhelmed. I just wanted to go home at that point. I just needed a minute because I didn't really want to give up on this whole trip. But it was just a lot. It was a lot. And so now I hate crows. And I know there are crows enthusiasts out there. I know people probably love crows out there, and that's great. You come to me when you go to live in the forest and they eat all your food. Because crows, they also peck at dead stuff on the ground. Like, if you go from a dead deer to poking at my cream, obviously I can't eat my cream anymore. I sound so first world. Oh my God. But nobody has these problems. And you can't judge me because your cream is probably in the refrigerator or in the pantry or somewhere safe away from crows. F crows. So our next stop is going to be in Kentucky. As always, if you have any questions about what I'm doing or absolutely anything, drop it in the comments and I'm going to get to it the next time I can record videos. Hope you stay tuned.